Everybody, this is Richard, and we are back for our third session of Dark Designs in Krevborna. We're using the rule system for Dark Designs and Verdigris from Codex Emerald, and Jack Shear's wonderful setting Krevborna with his great adventure, Hexmoon Sabbath. We are down, at least for part of the session, one player tonight, but I still have two awesome players, and I am going to give them a chance to introduce their characters. And let's start with Ren.
Hi, I'm playing Nemez. He's sort of a thief character, very pale, and he's haunted by Mazen the Shade.
And I'm Philip, and I'm playing Mazen. He is sort of a lusty male prostitute type. And he has this strange dark destiny that sort of compels him to never deny being part of a ritual, and also he can never accept a blessing. And he's sort of being watched by Reverend Solanga because of this. Yeah, he's ran with some criminals in the past as well. Switham Vanderhouse, and I think Ninnies as well. We've sort of ran together a bit, so yeah. And I am not his spirit thing. That's someone else. But names are hard.
You're haunting, though, Mason. You're haunting. I think the shade who haunts Nimitz is named Vamiza. All right. And during the first session, you guys were given a job. What do you remember about that? I'll let anybody answer.
Were going after the candelabra of Saint. Gotta check.
Victera.
Saint Victera.
The Witchbreaker. She was also a patron saint of people who carry lights and of the dawn. It was a pirate who wanted her relics by the name of Vanessa Romaine who hired you. She had hired somebody to recover those before, who had instead sold them to someone else. Who did they sell them to?
It's I keep forgetting her name, but I think she's a witch, or but everyone's going to her for like healing and stuff. Svasta.
Yeah, Svasta.
Yeah.
At least I think it's you know, all those consonants sort of run together. Svasta. I keep losing the window here. But yeah, Zvasta is reputed to be a witch. No one had heard of her until very recently. She lived in the mountains outside the old supposedly abandoned, condemned town of Vale, which was destroyed by the church for corruption. But you know, as does almost everybody else, that people still live in the old burned down town. And up on the mountain, far above the tree line, some trees have started, or trees are visible. Strange trees, not strange leafy trees that are growing out of season, even though they should not be evergreens, and are especially gleaming in the moonlight. You arrived in Vale in the morning, and you saw a couple of different encampments in or around. Can you tell me a little about those?
There was an old ruined church that had some people staying there. It was I can't remember their names, but
I don't think
they were knights.
Yeah, you didn't get a lot of knights.
Yeah.
They were knights, and then there was another group of knights also nearby. Correct.
They were the ones who we were avoiding, who had the sigil, I think, right?
Yeah, there were some who were clearly associated. The ones staying in the church were not church knights, apparently. The ones that had the strange bleeding moon.
It was a bleeding sun with a sword through it.
Yeah, the bleeding sun with a sword through it were associated with the church, and they were about to execute somebody who was swept away before they could be executed. And right as we ended, you and the entire town received an invitation for that evening. You as new arrivals and everybody else in town as well. What do you remember about that invitation?
Whatever you tell us to remember.
Rin, I know you guys have got midterms this week, so I hate to put you under more exam stress. So you were invited to witness a performance in the woods on the mountain by Svasta, as was everybody in the town, to come into the woods at night and witness a moonlight performance. Anything else you want me to make sure that you want to note before we start? Yeah, in the process, you also in traveling last week, you also found a group of others who were going to Zvasta for healing, and had come to Vale with you. Their names were Amma and Bay, were the two people who were a man and a woman who were not infected by a disease, but Zahara, Danakin, and Doga were infected. We're all three lovers, and we're all three infected by a strange disease that kind of form moving welts under their skin. Moving bruisey welts under their skin that clearly had something inside them that was alive. And they were coming to Svasta to see if she could cure them, because nothing else could seem to do anything. All right. So I think we're going to pick up from how does it sound? Mid-afternoon. You guys got the word that morning, but you've been traveling. Where are you planning to stay when you arrive in Vale and put you there and move you up to late afternoon? Or who were you going to ask for a space? There was an inn. There was also the Knights. There was a weird inn. It's just sort of one big common room and a little bit of a bar, and a very sort of cloyingly sweet innkeeper.
Who else was at the inn?
There was just you and your companions, the five of them.
I think I was at the inn, and Mason was at
Oh, right.
the church with Altaban,
Okay.
and I was with our
The portal.
companions. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
I remember we calmed the horses and
Right. Right.
yeah. Yeah, from what I remember, like the conditions were pretty bad at the church. So maybe like I left Altaban there to, keep the horses under control with his ways, and maybe I made my way back towards the inn.
Sounds good. All right. So you guys are grouped up near the inn, and have had a moment to get off your feet and rest. I don't think you need any necessary healing or anything. So I will sort of scrub over that, but normally I'd ask you what shadows were haunting your dreams, nightmares, or daydreams. Does anybody have healing they need to, or recovery of traits they need to?
I have one trait that's checked, so I wouldn't mind
Right. Okay.
just giving a go.
Nice.
Yeah, maybe you can and walk me through it again.
Yeah. All right.
I
So
like
when
to
you go to-
imagine like I get to the inn and it's like stormy outside, right? Like cold and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm like hardly wearing anything. So I come in and like the door just like swings open from the wind, and like there's like snow and stuff like blowing in behind me, and I'm just like freezing and like covered in a layer of frost, and like I just like close the door behind me. And I think like the wind is like really strong. So like I think I maybe like latch it too. Like there's like a latch or something. And yeah, I think that I look around and maybe try and get a sense of place in this inn. Like what's the scene?
So it's a sort of one big room, and the innkeeper has not given you a lot of sort of sense of who they are. It's since you've gotten there, it's a sort of kind of cloying and pleasant, but not ever like revealing himself. He sort of gestures to your group that there's just sort of a set of what look like cots sort of in a corner, and there's a little stove with a small chimney that sort of goes outside. It's sort of a ramshackle building. It's a lot drafty, but you are out of the main cold of the wind outside, and it's boards. It's a little bit of metal. It's bits of piled stone, kind of reassembled a roof, and a stove, and the beer is very cold because he just sets it outside to cool. And on the stove, he's got some bread. There's a little bit of stew kind of cooking.
Yeah, I think that I like start pulling out my coin purse like right away, and I'm just like pouring out some coins into my hand. And I think I hold out like some coins. How much does the I can't remember the innkeeper's name again.
He's not giving you a name. So
oh
yeah,
sir, yes, some stew, please. And I'm like, oh, I'm like holding out some coins, clinking in my hand.
He sort of holds up a hand. It's just like, I prefer to give you the bill when you're ready to go, all at once. That way, if any favors are done, I can deduct that from the total amount.
And I think I like look over to see if the others have gone along with this.
And I think everybody's mostly just arrived. So I don't think anybody's really discussed cost.
Okay. Yeah, I'm like, sure, that's fine.
And you're there, Nemes, as well. So you can chime in at any point. But yes, we can agree. I think that we'll just fold the food into the cost of the stay.
And I've already got like my coins put away in a bowl, and I'm getting some of this nice warm stew.
It is a thin, sort of gruely stew. It's not really even a step up from trail stew. The meat's a little fresher, and it's not like cooked from dry. But otherwise, it's just like, unleavened bread baked to an inch of its life until it's just a dry husk, and then sort of crumbled back up into a stew to sort of make a broth with some whatever the meat is. And then there's some things that look like some sort of root vegetable in there, but it's really hard to say what they are. But it's pretty thin. And it tastes like the broth is mainly just ale. It's slightly sour, slightly fatty. You're not sure what all the ingredients are, but
yeah, I think I just like go for it, and like after a few gulps of gulping down the bowl, I just like set the bowl down on like a barrel that's nearby or something, and just like I think I like plop down on one of these rickety cots, like maybe next to Bay, and yeah, I think I don't look around much more before I pass out.
So I'll ask both of you this: what shadows, real or metaphorical, haunt your dreams, daydreams, or nightmares?
I think I'm scared of, because now Vamisa has been with me so long, I'm sort of scared what I'd be like without it. Yeah. So like, is there anything to go back to without Vamisa?
Without a shade sort of constantly haunting you and drawing on your blood? What about you, Mason? What shadows haunt your dreams, daydreams, or nightmares?
Yeah, I think that the shadow that haunts my sleep is I'm seeing a there's like a bright orange sun, huge in the sky, but like there's someone in front of it that is silhouetted, and I think that the shadow that's haunting me is it's like they're on like a hill, and there's this path up to them that I can't see very well, but I can see that there's their shadow is bleeding down the hill towards me. and I can see like the glint of their steel sword against the sun.
So are they wearing armor, or do they look like a knight in any way, or is it look?
I think they look like a knight. Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, I think that that blood shadow that they are casting is like flowing towards me.
Wow. Is the shadow coming from a sun or from a moon?
I think it's that sun, that bright orange, like that huge orange sun behind them. Yeah.
Like with a bloody tone hint to it?
It's like red, like the shadow hues are warm instead of cool.
Right. Like high in the sky red? Like almost like dawn red, but like up. Is that
I was imagining it more of like being behind them in my head, but
okay.
Yeah, it's cast. Yeah, it's like it's sort of behind them. Like they're like sort of like it's behind them, so I can't see who they are, but except that they're like the shape of the silhouette. Right.
Okay. And of course, as you look at them, your eyes start to get the dots from the sunlight. And they're just like a dark shadow. Okay. Are you also resting, Nemes, or are you sort of taking time to talk to people, or?
I think I was gonna go up to the innkeeper. I don't remember his name. Oh wait, he doesn't have one. Never mind.
He's not giving you a name.
Yeah. So I guess I'm going up to him to get some soup or stew, and I sort of I want to use my trait flirtatious grin to demand a short but honest answer from him. So I'm sort of like, nobody stays in Vale unless they have something to gain. What do you have to gain in Vale? And should I do the memory or situation now, or?
Yeah, tell me about a time you realized the power your flirtatious grin had over you.
I think when I was a child, sort of in that, like, being a thief, I was caught, or not a child, probably like late, like 20s, I was caught, and I kind of used it to get out of like having to go to jail, and just I've been using it over and over, just like it's the one thing that's yeah.
So yeah, you just sort of used it to talk your way past the jailer or past the judge?
So I think past the jailer. I was so like, I just gave him a little smile. I was like, "Hey, we should get out of here." And I think that that little fling lasted a couple weeks until I. This sounds bad. Like, had no use for him anymore, I guess.
You don't always have to be a good person, Nemes.
I'm definitely not always being a good person.
So he was out of a job and you were out of jail. Nice. Okay. And just to sort of loop the whole scene back in, I think, Mason, you're just sort of coming to, and you're sort of in that zone where you're not sure how long your eyes have been closed and you've been asleep.
Yeah, I think I'm also holding like the hilt of my sword as I kind of come to.
Right. So you've been a little restless as you slept too, because keeping your sword on, you kind of have to sleep on your back without rolling over. Kind of, because you don't want to roll over onto your sword. And then, Bay is also sitting on the bed, kind of nodding off himself, big guy with his arms crossed, sort of his back against the wall. And I think so. You're sort of in that sort of like can't really move or talk, but you're sort of waking up and you're aware of what's going on. And everybody else seems to be either asleep or just resting very quietly. Nemez, as the innkeeper just looks at you with just sort of there's smiles right back at you with his cheeks turning flush, Nemez. And you see like this deep red color just sort of rise into his face. And he smiles and blinks a few times, and it's just like, aren't you? And what was your question again? Remind me specifically what the wording of your question was that you asked him as you flashed your grin.
What does he have to gain in Vale?
And he just looks at you and he says, aren't you just delicious? Oh, cinnamon is the kind of delicious you are. Yes, I come to Vale. And you realize how yellow his eyes are? Both in the underlying sort of like yellow tint to the eye itself, but also that the yellowish brown, not even hazel, yellowish brown of the iris in his eyes. Yes. Well, I have certain appetites. In here, it looks like his pupils are sort of grayish black, not just pure empty black, the way people's pupils are supposed to be. Certain appetites, and I prefer things seasoned by need and desperation. And he sort of smacks his lips. So, I can be a very generous friend until I get very, very hungry. And he looks over at Donegan, who seems to be asleep, sort of on the floor. having largely run out of cots. I can get very, very hungry when I smell the seasoning of need.
Donegan is was he part of? Were they part of the 5?
Yeah, he was one of the 5. He was Doga's other lover with Zahara. And they all 3 were sick. They all 3 had that under the welts under their skin that were moving as if something was living under there. And the innkeep has been eating, slowly picking at stew as he's talking to you, Nemez. And he fishes a little bone out of a bit he's chewing on already, and wipes his chin and pulls a little bone out and sort of flicks it into the stove. Vale has been very good to me and kept me well fed and welcome. I'm welcome in Vale. And for a second there, Nemes, you see that he doesn't have that sort of thin, raggedy hair that's what you see. He almost, no, he does have 2 sweeping around the skull ram's horns coming out of his. No, it's just hair. It's just hair. And then everybody starts to wake up, and you can feel yourself sort of coming to, Mason. And he's like, beers all around, on the innkeeper.
Yeah, I think I like rub my eyes and scoot off of the bed. I'll roll my my dice for my HP.
Yep. So you re-roll. If you have higher, then you increase your hit points, and then
I think I get like 1 extra one, right?
Yeah. So you'll roll 3d6, and then also Mason, you uncheck you only had 1, so there's no need to roll for it. So just uncheck that trait you had checked. The innkeeper is kind of heading out to this small window, and he reaches through and pulls back a pail of beers, and he's like, Vale Ruby, my favorite brew. A little salty, a little sour, but good for waking you up in the middle of the afternoon, helping the mind focus. And he starts to open a few bottles and kind of pour them into like these itty bitty little mugs and pass them around.
I'm going to smell the beer and maybe I'll put a actually I'll just smell it and see if I can detect anything wrong with it. Like, is there anything weird about this beer? Should I roll for that?
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, it's definitely a sour beer. There doesn't seem to be much weird about it. It's almost kind of a wine-ish consistency. You don't sense anything poisonous or toxic or narcotic in any way. It doesn't seem to be drugged when you taste it. Bay is getting ready to swig down a mug, kind of in one fell drop. Donnakin is still sort of deeply asleep, but everybody else seems to be moving around as if everybody sort of just woke up around the same moment. And
yeah, I think that I definitely like if I don't see anything wrong with it, then I'll just like start glugging it down as well.
And you notice as you wake up, Mason, the day is, you've definitely been asleep for a time. The sun is certainly starting its sort of like westward descent. Just starting, it's possibly afternoon some point. Nimes, if you also want to reroll hit points and see if you get higher, you're certainly welcome to do that, having taken a rest. I doubt you're at a 10 out of 12 possible, so I doubt you'll get much higher. But amazing, the beer is foul tasting, which you could tell by smelling it, but it is the beer you'll get here. And the innkeeper is like, well, I'd tell you what sights to see, but its veil is burned down because of corruption.
And I think I set down the empty ale and then ask him, corruption by what exactly? Are you saying this is not just some dead town that people still stick around for whatever reason?
Oh, they said they burned down Vale because it was corrupt. That's what they said. I wouldn't know anything about that. It was an awful, awful sight. And you can see the sun out the window, both of you, but it should be shining in the window, and it's actually sort of like just a thin sort of light coming through. There's more light coming off the stove than there is coming in from the windows, even though you can see the light in the sky outside. And it has that winter afternoon sunlight look where the sun is really bright, the sky is very blue, and you're guessing it has gotten like 10 degrees colder. That's super, super bright winter sunlight. And it is but it's just not coming in the window, weirdly. I mean, it's like a thin sort of refracted sunlight coming in the window instead of you can see the sun right outside the window.
Yeah, I think I'm like, I have to take a piss, and then I stumble over to the door and pull it open.
Yeah, you can go outside. There's no.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think I go outside. And is there anything strange out here? Is it still kind of weird how the light is?
No. Outside, it's a very bright mid-afternoon sort of light. You're looking. The sunlight seems to be this time of year about 3:00. You're guessing a few hours to sunset.
Yeah, I think I walk around the building to try and find somewhere more private, and I think that's where I go. But I think I can like see through like that cracked window or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, when you look in through the window, there is a very large, very corpulent demon sort of at the table where you've seen the innkeeper. Red skin, scraggly hair, horns sort of coming down the sides of his head.
I think what I do is I want to like signal. Like I think I like duck first of all, and then I'm like peeking over the side of the window, and I wanna signal Nimmy's that something's wrong. So I'm gonna just summon his fiery friend a little bit to get to be sort of like an alarm, like something's off.
Right. Yeah. I think between you and Vamisa sort of signaling in the window, Nimbus, you can see that. Between you and Vamisa, you can see that Mason is kind of summoning you from outside the window.
Do I need to roll for doing that thing, or
are you summoning? Are you summoning something, or?
I was like trying to like cause his I forget what it's called. his salamander staff thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Wilburn. I was trying to get Wilburn to act up a little bit using magic. So yeah, do you think I should roll just in case?
What do you want him to do?
I just want him to like burn, like okay. At the very least cause a distraction, but you know, hopefully, you know, it might be enough to, you know, get Nemes to like realize that something's off here.
So you holding it with you, Nemes, or are you is that sort of with your bags?
I think I keep it on me. I don't have much.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess I probably keep my old staff with my bags, but I have Wilburn on me.
All right. So I'm going to say that since you can see Nemes, you can see him holding the staff. So I won't give you that -1. Otherwise, just roll with sorcery.
Sorry, the roll for your party page is acting up for me. Let me give it a try. There we go. That is a 10.
Lucky you. When you said act up, do you just want him to sort of glow very brightly to let out some flame, kind of go crazy? I mean, your stuff is in there too.
Yeah, I think I want
anything down, but
right. I think like an alarm is something I'm imagining, like some kind of like strobe light effect happens, a little brighter than.
All right. All of a sudden, the set, like you see Nimes waving, and then all of a sudden the light in the trapped globe, the salamander trapped in the globe, begins to glow very brightly. And you and everyone else sort of see the innkeeper for what he is in the light. And then as you also see the price list written on the table.
And what is it for some soup?
It is remarkably cheap for soup if you have a. One moment. It is remarkably cheap if you have Gehennas on you as currency. You're not really sure what the exchange rate is. But so, you know, soup is like a Gehenna. The bed is a Gehenna. Special companionship is a Gehenna. Privacy is 2 Gehennas. And then this is something you're and beer is half a Gehenna. And I'll put this into the chat. He does have a souls are 500 Gehenna or market value. Though he does not seem to have a soul on offer that might tell him.
So what is an exchange rate for a Gehenna from our coin?
I am not. I do not keep a monetary exchange. You, of course, would normally be able to weigh the silver in your coins against the silver in other coins, but you can't. You can't weigh abyssal silver in Vale. But I'm certain we can work out something in trade. And he looks over at Donegan, who is still deeply, deeply asleep again. And you see something moving under Donegan's shirt, which is not the first time you've seen something moving under Donegan's shirt. I'm most certain we can work out something in trade. But we don't have to negotiate these things, my friends. We can discuss this when you're ready to leave. You would certainly never try to sneak out in the night without paying. The way you did on that jailer.
And I think I get up and I go, I just need to relieve myself outside for a bit. It's a little stuffy in here.
Yes, just Just trust me. We'll work something out that will be agreeable to everyone involved in the negotiation.
I have a question. So, is the innkeeper's like demon form visible right now, or was it just like a glimpse that?
Oh no, you looking through the window, you seem to be able to see it just fine. Inside, it was just sort of a glimpse as the salamander light flashed, as the elemental fire light flashed. But outside, through the windows, you seem to see things pretty fine.
I think I've got like my pistol like aimed at this demon, just in case it tries to pull something on Nemes as he takes his leave.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to interfere with Nemes leaving or anything. And Nemes, you're both outside. The wind is less sharp now than it was this morning. It's still windy, but not as overwhelmingly windy. And you're both outside. Mason has his gun drawn. What do the two of you do?
Have you ever come across a demon before in your rituals?
Out of character question here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are demons like a common thing in this world?
I think Mason, being Mason, has certainly encountered either demons indirectly or by reputation. You've never seen one?
Yeah, I think what I say is like, yeah, but it's not. It wasn't like this.
You've never seen one, and certainly, you've heard they can't violate their word or their agreements. But they interpret they lawyer them pretty tightly.
Right. So, yeah, I think that's sort of what I communicate to Nemes is I say there's something going on here. I mean, this demon is not just playing innkeeper. Did you see anything that might be, a trick?
For a second, I thought I could have sworn he had horns. But then I looked closer, and his hair, he was the same as he is now.
And you saw him again in his demon form when your staff flared.
So we know he's a demon. So
yeah, you both know he's a demon.
So I guess the question is now, should we try and outsmart this demon, or should we try and conquer it?
We should probably try to conquer it, because it seems like he's already got eyes on Donegan. He clearly wants Donegan.
I can't expect any of the others will go along with letting Donegan go to this demon. You know, if this demon is after souls, then that's you know, something that, because I imagine like you've probably told me about the list that you found, right? So if this demon is after souls, then making that the only way to get this Gehanas is the trick.
Should we go find someone else and try to trade them in instead of Donegan?
I mean, how hard is it to really take down a demon? I mean, are there is this like a legendary feat, or have we heard of this happening before?
Oh, there's all sorts of folk tales about like common everyday people tricking demons. And there's all sorts of tales about church knights fighting demons. I mean, that's the two kind of groups of tales you have.
All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and I'm just going to go get those church knights. With that bleeding sun thing. I think I can get them to follow me back here.
Should I?
They'll know what to do. Maybe you can
Yeah.
just distract it while I run away.
Maybe we could even somehow just get a hold of the musician, the singer. I don't think he told us his name, but we could probably find him.
Which musician are you thinking of?
The one that was at the ritual, or not the ritual, he was singing while they were burning someone at the stake.
Oh, yeah.
There
was the person singing while they were burning at the stake.
Or we could just go back to those guys in the church. Maybe they.
And they were knights in the church, but they were not church knights.
Yeah, I think we should go for the church knights. Refresh my memory. So the church knights, were they with they were at that ritual, right?
Yes, they were engaged in
burning
burning execution ritual
with that person singing. So they're kind of the same.
Yeah,
they're the same group. Okay.
Yeah, that person seemed very. You cast some magic, and that person was very aware of it, and then told you that they would take care of the church knights while you let the person escape, and they were sort of amused by your interference. I think they were dressed like a monk or something like that, with a shaved head. And
okay. Yeah. So yeah, I think I'll try and find them, or find that group. Do you want to try and keep the situation here under control?
Yeah, I should probably stay and keep an eye on Donegan, just to make sure he's not going to be harvested, I guess, or you don't want it to get out of hand while you're gone.
Are you guys talking while looking in the window, or are you sort of wandering?
I think that we probably we're probably like whispering, and we're maybe under the window or something, crouched down.
Okay, yeah. Nimbus, it does occur to you that while you were talking, while he was talking very openly and looking at Donegan, everybody else was pretty groggy. Like they all got startled by your light, but everybody else was sort of like, I mean, it's been a rough trip. You can certainly understand why they're tired. But it's not like anybody in Donegan's party was awake enough to really sort of notice the threat he was under. And you know, Zahara and Doga were both pretty exhausted, much like Donegan was.
How are you feeling, Mason? You also had some of the soup and the beer.
You didn't sense, neither of you sensed anything wrong with the soup or the beer. I mean, your stomachs feel like you ate a very oily, greasy soup that was weirdly seasoned and tasted oddly sour, but not in a like I was poisoned sort of way, or the beer really either.
Do I feel better that now that I've been outside?
It's like I said, it's just, you know, it's you have like I had soup of dubious quality feeling in your stomach, but that's not like a poisoning thing. That's just like I had food of dubious quality, and my stomach is a little like my stomach is working hard to digest this.
Yeah, and I think I just say I'm fine, and then I think I'm gonna run off and try and find these people and leave you.
And you're still clad in your sort of ropes and
yeah, I think I have like a cloak I mentioned.
Yeah,
but nothing particularly valuable or useful really.
Okay.
In this context.
And your pack is, I mean, other than your weapons, your pistols, your pack is back at the inn, correct? Or did you grab that before you headed out?
I think I probably don't have my pack just because I had stuff in it, so that was kind of heavy. So I probably left that behind. I probably just got my, my weapons.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't have that other stuff. The grappling hook and whatnot is all I left behind.
I'm mainly just thinking you with just leaving your pack behind, you can move pretty fast. And Nimbus, are you actually going to hang out here, or are you going to do something else in town while Mason is away?
So you said in town there were a couple fires that we could sort of make out. Like
you sort of looked at both. There were. I mean, there's like you can see the hovels and rebuilt buildings that are inhabited just by the presence of a fire in them. And then you can see that there's actual campfires or bonfires or cooking fires set up for the Lamashtan nights in the church, and then the church nights immediately outside of town. Mason, on your way out of town, you notice that there are several holy symbols of Saint Victora, so that are sort of like planted like on spikes in the ground. They're like staked into the ground, like they're almost decoratively, but they seem to be sort of all over the place at the edge of town. And you see like almost like I know neither of you have lived in cities that routinely ice over. but like that sort of like dense like rock salt that people pour on the ground, that businesses pour on the ground right before freeze to try to keep their sidewalks from icing. And that seems to also be sort of between these sort of holy symbols outside of town as well. But like heavy chunks of rock salt as you sort of move back towards the Knights camp. And what are you up to, Nimas? Sorry, I interrupted you.
I guess I'm just kind of wandering around town, just trying to, but I don't know. You know what? I think I'm just kind of staying close to the inn, and just so that I can sort of keep an eye on what's happening in there. And I guess looking for people and just trying to hail them if they're out, if there are any people out there.
Are you, so you're sort of like keeping an eye outside around in the vicinity of the inn, of the little one room house that's sort of serving as the inn?
Yeah.
Okay. And you know, it's not like even modern streets. There's sort of like lots of places you can't see from the street, lots of things that are sort of behind a house or in a copse of trees or something like that. And I think as you pass a very worn house, in fact, it doesn't, like there's several spots where the walls do not meet the ceiling, and there's several what look like holes in the roof. So it'd be very drafty and wet if anybody were staying there. But it sounds like there are, some kind of like low humming song coming from inside it. That sounds very like, the rhythms and meter of it sound like a church song. And then you hear from far away the sound of horses in that Lamashtan camp at the church with those knights, and it sounds like people just continuing to work on the camp, putting up sturdier tents, working on getting the horses into sort of a windbreak, you know, barking orders, stuff like that. And those are the two places that you can see or hear stuff from that are nearby, they're relatively close to the inn, within a few hundred feet. Any place, direction you want to move towards, or are you just kind of going to keep sort of like the tight sort of perimeter of the inn?
I think I'm going to poke towards the humming, singing sound. And it's just sort of an open-ish building, right?
Yeah, it's like some of the walls are not even complete.
Yeah, so I guess I'm just going to walk right in, kind of carefully.
Right.
Just trying not to be seen.
And Mason, you were headed towards the Church Knights camp outside of town, correct?
Yeah.
So the monastic figure, the guy in the robe with the shaved head, who was leading chanting during what was supposed to be the execution that didn't happen, because you cast that spell summoning winds to blow the fire out, and it ended up sort of battering the town, with the whole area with, and the person they were executing sort of turned into smoke and escaped after you did that. That person does not seem to be in evidence in the camp. Though the camp seems to be going through its, what you might guess is a normal daily drill. It looks like it's, people are securing horses and feeding horses and
I'm going to
prepping dinner, and
I am going to disturb the peace.
You're just walking in the middle, or what are you doing to disturb the peace?
I think that I'm going to try and trick them into chasing me. So what I do is I load one bullet into, like, my gun is probably, it's a powder pistol, so that means it only shoots like one bullet at a time, right? Like, it's like those old-fashioned ones that you can only.
Yeah.
So after you make a shot, you don't have time to like load it and shoot again quickly. So I just use my shot to. I think one of them's holding a shield, and I like shoot at his shield. That's what I'm trying to do anyway, and get their attention, and then like I'm gonna try and like feign this. Oh no, they spotted me.
And you're just gonna kind of lope away, trying to hope they keep up with you, or letting them keep up with you.
Yeah. I'm trying to lure them basically back towards the inn.
Why don't you roll duplicity? I think this is a cunning plan that just might work.
Yeah, I don't think any of my traits can really help me here.
Yeah.
Oh, snake eyes.
Oh no. Yeah, so you pull your pistol up, you sort of take aim at the shield. And you're not sure how you missed her, but you're pretty sure it was haste and not some sort of supernatural hiding ability. That a very strong, kind of powerfully built middle-aged woman is right there. I mean, in this outside of town, there's trees, there's rocks everywhere. Who knows exactly where she came from or how she got right up next to you? And she's wearing the livery of the order. And her heavily armored elbow plows right into the side of your chin. That's when you notice her, is when she's about to elbow you in the face. Let's roll a d6 and add 1 to it.
That's 5.
Now, you can take the 5 damage, or you can try to reduce it, say, by marking hardy as a trait, just to kind of suck up some of that damage.
Yeah.
She's still going to sort of knock you around a little bit, but you would soak up some of that.
Yeah, so I'll do that. I'll check off hardy, and so what
check
does that
hardy.
do?
So you're going to roll a d6, and then you reduce that 5 by however much you roll on that d6.
Okay, so that's been reduced by 2 down to 3. So I take 3 damage.
Yeah, and so all of a sudden you're sort of you've been knocked aside pretty hard, but you've been hit harder. I mean, ritual magic is a tough business, and so she's just kind of walked up and elbowed you, and your shot has gone wild.
Right. Right as I was pulling that trigger.
Your shot just went wild, and there's now about 4 or 5 of the knights who are now sort of stalking out of the camp towards you as she sort of stands over you and sort of loosens the axe at her belt. What are you doing?
Yeah, I think I kind of rolled after she hit me and kind of got to my feet a bit, and am I surrounded? Is that an accurate way to describe it? Or
you're not quite surrounded yet, though you will be soon.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to so their camp is like out of town, right? It's not in town, so there's not like town.
Yeah, it's not like, miles out of town or anything like that,
but it's not in town. There's not like buildings and stuff.
Right. So there's trees and rocks and stuff like that, but not a lot of buildings right now.
I think that I'm going to try and take something from her before I run away, because I don't want them to think that that they scared me off, and that like, I want them to like pursue me. So like, what's like the most obvious thing I can snatch from her?
The symbol she's wearing around her neck, the amulet.
Yeah. So I'm going to just like spring at her and just try and yank that off, like yank that right off of her.
So this is so direct and assertive that I think we'll have you roll ferocity rather than duplicity for this, even though stealing things would normally be duplicity. But this is so just like,
this isn't like,
this is pretty in your face. Yeah.
This is like by force.
This is like your high school bully stealing your lunch. They're not being sneaky about it at all.
Okay. Okay, that is 11.
11, yeah. The chain breaks in your hand. You pull it away, and you're going to start sprinting off. You have the space to do that, or is that correct?
Yeah. Let me just check out something. I'm going to use my queer charm, smoldering eyes trait to give her like a look, like, ha, got it, and like really piss her off with my smugness.
So are you escalating this to like a critical success?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I get some perk.
Yeah, you recognize her as you do that. You recognize this person as a lieutenant, not in the official military rank sense, but a associate of Reverend Solanka's. And she just screams at the top of her lungs and points at you as you dart off, grinning back at her. Piscaro, pervert! Pirates, cabin boy!
And are they chasing me?
They are chasing you, and you may be getting a little more than even you expected, because she seems to have. Everybody is like, "Oh my God, someone important is really mad, so we better at least pretend to run." So the camp seems pretty roused, and it's not just the 4 or 5 who are after you. It's other people seem to be paying attention, and she's running after you, yelling the entire way. Nemes, let's back up in time just a few moments. You were sort of looking in on that house, correct?
Yeah.
And you see several. At first, they look pretty decrepit, and you think they're old, but then you realize they're just literally wearing rags. And their heads are shaved, and they're looking both cold and sort of haggard from sleeplessness, lack of food. And they are singing a song. As they shave a young woman's head, and it's not against her will. She's sort of kneeling for them to shave her head, and they're carefully pulling off her red hair, or shaving away her red hair as she sort of wraps herself in a kind of a heavy burlap and a little bit of leather to stay warm in this sort of rickety building. And you can see where they've got bedrolls sort of laid down on the floor. The building is starting to rot. Even in the winter, it's starting to. You can see mold and mildew in the corners of the building. And she is. They are kind of singing as they shave her head, and she's holding a bundle of something, and you see it's those red ropes that all of Svasta's people. You've seen those 2 people who work for Svasta. Wearing sort of these sort of harnesses out of red rope over their clothes. And all the people who've worked for Svasta have had either red hair or hair that was sort of dyed red or dyed with a reddish tint to it. And she has very natural red hair. And they pull her hair, they pull the bundle of red ropes away from her, and they put it into a small fire where it all sort of burns. And they finish the song, and they say, "In penance for our abandonment of both Svasta and the saints, we dedicate our lives." And they sort of all sort of thump their chest penitentially and bow. And sort of prostrate themselves out on the floor for a few moments. And you've seen rituals like this when people do sort of penance for other things in the church. And it's usually that's the abandoning the penance for abandoning the saints is how they normally phrase it. But these said specifically penance for abandoning Svasta and the saints. And I think all of them have shaved heads, but where they're growing out, you can see that several of them have red hair. And they're all very, very young, especially for a group of penitents. And we're about to go to break, but what do you do? Right before the screams pierce the afternoon, or moments before.
Is there like you know what? Can we come back to this after break?
Yeah,
I just need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's come back 45 after the hour. That's good. 6:45 for you guys. All right. I will see you then. Give Philip just a second to come back.
Hey, sorry.
No worries.
I had to wrangle some dogs.
Oh, yeah. I keep forgetting. And you have those big ones too, don't you?
Yeah, I do. They're good though.
Yeah.
Yes.
Big dogs are the best dogs.
So I'm here, but I'm gonna go off camera because I got food. All right.
That's fine. All right. So, Nimbus, you were watching that sort of penitential ritual. What did you want to do with that? Or you can just, back out quietly.
I think I'm gonna push in and sort of make myself known. Like, am I interrupting something?
Yeah, they immediately stop, and several of them scramble up. A few of them pull out like small knives. Like sort of like hold them out. Like, hey, this is a private space. This is not a space you can just enter. This is our time.
I'm sorry. The wall was wide open, and I'm just looking for a friendly face.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. You think just because we're no longer with Svasta just means we'll just leave with anybody. No, we are penitents. We're going to show Svasta and the saints how sorry we are for what we did wrong.
No, So you're trying to get back on Svasta's good side?
We want to show her that we are penitent for defiling ourselves.
Well,
there's about 6 people here.
There's about 6? Ooh,
yeah. Maybe like, there's about 6, that none of them are particularly sturdy. And all of them look pretty small framed and young.
So what did you do to defile Svasta and the saints?
We didn't defile her, says one young man. We defiled ourselves. Carnal lust is forbidden, and we were weak. And we were thrown out.
Perhaps we could come to a mutual understanding. I'm working for Svasta, and my group seems to be in a bit of a predicament.
I'm going to need you to roll duplicity sort of right away.
So that's a 7.
I think one of the young men just sort of throws himself at your feet, and 2 women sort of back against the wall holding their knives out. And they're going like, we won't let you kill us. We won't let you kill us. We don't care. We don't care. Like, we want to be penitent, but we're not going to just lay down and die. And he's like, just take me. Take my life now. It's worthless. Thrown out by her, thrown out by the saints. The other 3 are just sort of looking at you, just sort of curiously, like they're ready to like just bolt and run. And they're just like, what do you want? What do you want from us? Do you need a sacrifice? We can arrange a sacrifice.
I just need.
Can you return us to our favor?
I don't want your life necessarily. I just need you to take the place of one of our friends. It'll.
Are you asking it? Yeah. Are you asking him to take the place of Duncan?
Yes. So there's one at my feet saying, "Just take my life."
Yeah.
I guess I'm just like, you'll do. Would you take the place of my friend? He's also devout to Svasta.
Without Svasta and without the faith of the church, with both of them having thrown me out, he sort of sits up on his haunches. And he's pretty young. How old is Nemes?
I was thinking early 20s, 20, 23.
So this guy is maybe 16 or 17. And the red in his hair has started to grow out again, and he's got sort of just like he's wearing sort of like a wool cloak, almost like a toga, just sort of wrapped around him, and not much else. And he's just like, without any comfort, I left the seminary to follow Svasta, but now I will never be a priest, and I will never be a witch. And he's just like, what is there left for me? So he stands up. What is there left for me? No, no, no. If I can save someone else, I will do it.
I just realized that you were saying Svasta and not the pirates.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So,
do you need to revise anything, or?
I'm. So he's like 16, and he was the only one who like threw himself.
Yeah, the rest of them are look curious, or like I said, those two young women are sort of standing back, like against the wall, sort of holding their knives out.
So, okay, I guess sort of it's revising, but so you guys studied under Svasta. Are you proficient in any magic?
Surely she would not let us practice our magic while we have disgraced ourselves. Surely she has taken that from us. We would not be able to do anything.
Well, see, my friends and I were summoned by Svasta, and we just need to bind a demon. And it's not an easy task, but with enough of us, we just don't want to miss Svasta's invitation.
Why don't you roll duplicity one more time? The one who was sort of at the, threw himself at your feet is definitely with you. Tell me how you do.
Yeah, that was a 6. So
They two of the young women start screaming, and they're making evil eye warding signs towards you. And you notice that one of the others has sort of run away. You didn't really see where they went or what they were doing. And the other two are sort of backing to the wall. And like, do not come here again. Do not come here again. And the one who was sort of following you was sort of like, take me. I will give myself to the demon as a distraction.
I guess I'll just take the kid, but I'm like, we're not going to give you to the demon, but there's got to be something better for you out there than this. And then I guess I'm just gonna leave.
Oh yeah, he's right at your heels, almost puppy dog style. He's like, no. My life is worthless unless I give it for someone else. And he keeps saying that over and over again as you begin to hear the cries and screams of the unmistakable voice of a military commander chasing someone as if down the street in Pescaro, yelling thief and Pescaro pervert, and something about something son of a pirate. And then you hear multiple people kind of coming from behind her. And I think you see running into town over those salt barriers and holy symbols of Saint Victoria. You see Mason running straight towards the inn. Mason, what are you doing?
I'm scrambling I think there's like this broken down cart that I like vault over.
Yeah. Yeah, you clear that cart really, really easily, and you're bolting straight towards the inn. She like as soon as she gets to the cart, she kicks it and it goes flying. She is powerfully built and wearing mail. And you're moving straight towards the inn, correct?
Yeah. Beeline.
And out of the corner of your eye, you see sort of Nemez sort of coming around the corner near the inn with some sort of kid with a shaved head, just sort of not wearing much except just sort of wrapped in a cloak, almost toga style, and sort of huddled looking, haggard looking kid. Urchin like, sort of close on his heels. As you sort of bolt for the door of the inn, is that where you're headed?
Yeah.
What's your plan? Just sort of to run in, run around? Tell me what you're planning to do.
My plan is to run in, and then I don't have much of a plan after that. But I may leap out of a window. We'll see.
You're trying to lure them in after you, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why don't you roll duplicity? This is all about getting those knights to do what you expect and think they're going to.
I got a 7. I think I'm going to push it over the top by tapping into my trait for Dark Destiny. Because I'm kind of luring them into like a trap of sorts, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, mark that. And then
yeah, I think that this isn't the first time that I've lured someone into a dark situation. I think that when I was first starting to be an instrument in like dark rituals, one of the ways I was that I was the bait for a sacrifice, and yeah, I lured I think a town guard into this abandoned building where he was like stabbed by like 10 children with daggers or something. Yes.
Wow. Okay. So you lure these knights in, and they're looking through the door. And as you come through the edge of the door, you realize why the innkeeper always sort of sits to the side and never just in the middle of the floor. Because when you're outside the cabin, you can see him for what he is. But once you walk inside, you can't. So you throw open the door, and for a moment before you charge inside, you see his demonic presence. at the same time they do, and they all begin screaming, "It's a demon! It's a demon! We're being led into a demonic trap!" And her axe is out, and she goes colliding with him. Why don't you roll 2d6?
That is a total of 4.
All right. One second. And the knights sort of fill the cabin, and begin. And her axe goes into the innkeeper and just stays there in his head as she struggles to remove it. And as soon as that happens, all of your companions, including Donegan, sort of snap out of it, their grogginess, and they start to come to and look around. Bay is up out of the bed, scrambling sort of to put his shirt back on. And Doga and Zahara are kind of jumping up, and Donegan's pulling himself off the floor.
Yeah, I think I grab my pack and I'm just like pointing towards the window and just like, I'm going to try and get everyone to just evacuate the situation while the distraction's going on.
Nemes, what are you doing?
So, am I just seeing these knights just kind of flow into this building?
Yeah, you see about. Nemes, you are in a position to see that several knights stop almost superstitiously at the edge of town, but not the ones who were following this woman who was apparently their commander. And they follow Mason in as if they're going to kill him, and then they start fighting with the innkeeper almost immediately. But the other knights sort of back up and sort of like stay at the edge of the town, almost at the salt line. And you hear like a scuffle from inside, and you see one of the windows pop open as somebody tries to like dart out. What are you doing?
I guess I'm just trying to help people out of the window because this was our plan. So just trying to get people out.
You guys are able to get, I think, between the windows. You get your group out. And there's still sort of a raging battle going inside. Philip, why don't you roll 2d6 again? And tell me what total you get.
9.
As you can hear the innkeeper screaming like, "A debt is a debt. You must pay for your debts." As the knights are wailing on him, what do the 8 of you now do?
How many knights are in the inn?
You see 5 in the inn.
Yeah, I think as I'm probably like the last one out, and I've got my pack, and I'm like going out the window, and I'm like, I'm sure 5 souls is worth something.
Wow! And then what are you doing?
I think I'm hopping out, and I think I say, "So who owes a debt now?" As I hop out.
And I think as you hop out, the innkeeper turns to look at you, and with those demonic yellow eyes, just that don't have pupils, when you look at him through the windows, looks at him and says, like, When I am unbound, I will come and collect. And then sort of throws himself towards the knights again. Are y'all running?
I think so, yeah.
So I have summoning and binding. And can I sort of bind I think you said she was a warden, or the captain.
She was like a commander of some sort.
Yeah.
You know?
Can I somehow bind her so that the innkeeper can easily just take her soul, I guess?
You can certainly try.
Then I would like to.
Let's roll with sorcery.
And can I use Shadowy Protector as well and try and get like Vemisa to help?
If you want to like spin that right away, you can do that to have the partial success, or you can roll and see if you get a success and then use that to potentially upgrade.
Okay, let me roll.
I mean, the partial success will be fine.
Oh my goodness.
How did that go?
That was a 4. So.
Oh God.
Yeah.
So there's 8 of you, right? 1 sec. One moment. So what does this magic look like when you do it? What are you doing?
I think I was just trying to like
physically, what like visibly in the world?
Yeah.
What does the magic look like?
I think it's sort of like shadowy tentacles like coming from the ground.
Oh, no. What is your performance of the magic?
Oh,
when you
my
cast a spell. What does that look like?
I think I just kind of go stiff and then like it's sort of channeled through Vemisa. Almost like I'm being possessed or being used by Vemisa to cast spells. I don't think I'm actually casting the spell. I think Vemisa is. And it's just sort of growing.
So first roll a d6.
That was a 6.
And Philip, also roll a d6, please.
Well, that is a 1.
And you were thinking it was like tentacles, right?
Yes. Shadowy tentacles just coming out of the ground.
So that red starts to spread across the outside of your shirt again as the wound over your heart opens. And you hear the smacking sound of Amiza taking blood from you. And the young man who's kind of following you, running after you, just starts to scream and sort of collapse and like huddle against a wall, pointing and looking at you. You are one of hers. You're one of hers. And he's screaming and grabbing his head as black tentacles emerge from the ground and start writhing towards the captain. And the captain says something and disperses them, but instead of them breaking up, they instead start to writhe back towards you. And they begin to hold, wrapping around your friends. And Mason, all of a sudden, these black tentacles that Nemes summoned from the ground lurch backward and wrap themselves around your leg and start to move up your torso. At once very, very cold and very, very hot, moving towards your neck. And the young man with the shaved head is struggling with one on the ground as he tries to sort of wrap himself in a fetal position. And he's crying. And
I think I'm going to
just declare they're also wrapping around all 5 of the others, including Bay. One of it sort of rips it sort of winds itself underneath Bay's shirt, and then the others are sort of pulled down. Zahara is face down on the ground as it moves, as tentacles start to wrap themselves around her neck. And what were you saying there, Philip? Sorry.
Yeah, I think I'm going to I want to use a trait. I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm going to summon my spiritual guardian to protect us against the, I guess the captain is doing this now.
Oh no, these were sent against her, and she sort of warded herself and her people against them.
Okay, so she did like a ward thing, and it
this is all
ricocheted back at us.
You know where this is coming from. This is coming from Nemes.
Okay.
You can rescue one person in addition to yourself. Now, Nemes is not in danger.
Okay.
You can rescue one person from the immediate effect of these tentacles. Yourself, or sorry, it would be yourself or one of the others that will not have to deal with the after effects of these tentacles.
So basically, like, I can exempt myself and someone else?
Yeah, let's say you can do that.
Is that what you're saying?
Rescue is normally like one other person suffering bad effects, but I'll let you do yourself.
Oh, I see the rescue move. Okay, I see what you're talking about. Okay. So.
And if you mark a trait, you just rescue without rolling. So.
Okay. I think that I've got this packed scar, right? That's like on, I think it's on like my shoulder, my back shoulder.
Right.
And I think it's like sort of a hook. And I think that part of what that represents is like a sense of loyalty. And so I immediately just pull aside who I feel most loyal to out of this group of people that we met. And I think I pull Bay aside. And I think we just crash down into like some brush nearby or something. Or no, there's no plants in town, right? Do I remember that correctly? Some debris.
Right. I mean, like, there's not a lot of plants in town. They're pretty scraggly. Give me one moment. And as the others Nemes are struggling, you see Mason grab Bay and pull him away from the tentacles, but as the others are struggling with them, feeling themselves sort of surrounded by them, you see the demon sort of bound towards you, away from the knights, looking like he's going to grab Donican. Who is struggling. Zahara is on the ground screaming. Doga is also sort of struggling, and Amar are both sort of struggling with the tentacles themselves. What do you do, Nemes?
Can I get in between? I just want to get in between Donegan and the demon.
Yeah. Sort of like kind of stand in defense of him, or are you trying to like act violently against the demon?
I think I'm going to try to stand in defense of him.
Right. Why don't you roll with ferocity? I know that's not your best stat.
That was a 3. Just not rolling well.
Roll a d6 again there.
Was the first d6?
Yeah, you took that 6 as damage. Sorry.
Okay.
Is the wound on your chest blood?
And so that one was a 3.
In your perception of time, you flash back for a moment to when the demon told you were delicious. And you remember something that did not happen in that conversation. You're very certain. But it's like you're remembering a conversation you know didn't happen. It was delicious, like cinnamon, but not nearly needy or desperate enough. And he picks you up and throws you against a tree, which leaves you shaken. And he grabs Donican by Donican's hair as the others begin to scream and as the knights begin to try to surge towards you. Mason, what are you doing? You have the kind of magic that may be able to banish this thing if it works.
Yeah, I do.
At least for a time.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely going to. I'm going to banish it, and are we talking banish this thing? Are you talking about his spell that backfired, or the demon?
The demon.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to try to do so with the sword that I found in the ruin.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I think it's magical. But yeah, I'm going to try and use that.
Okay. I'll give you a +1 to this roll, specifically just for invoking that sword. Though if it goes poorly, there may be terrible things.
Okay. All right. So yeah.
What's your roll with sorcery?
Okay. That is a 8 +1 for the swords. That would be 9. And I will invoke Destined to bring it to a 10. And I think that I am remembering the moment that I found the sword. And I think that when I found it, it was covered in like blood. But as soon as because it was like hanging on a wall and covered in blood, but as soon as I reached up and grabbed the hilt of it, all the blood just like slicked off and it was like shining like it was brand new. And that's how I found the sword.
I think the demon falls to its knees as the sword pierces through its chest. And he looks at you, Mason, and it's just like, no, 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 don't banish me. Don't send me away. I'll be very, 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 very good. I'll be very, very good. I'll behave. I'll give everything for free. I'll tear up the price list and rewrite it after you leave. And you can stay, and I can make you food and beer, and it will be free. Just send the knights away, and we'll be free.
So the demon's asking me to send the knights away.
It's up to you whether to run the sword all the way through to the hilt or to make some agreement with the demon. I mean, either one is a win for you. So this is not like a dark bargain. It's a.
Right.
No, don't send me away. Don't send me away.
I think that so he's asking, he's basically offering like to forgive our debt and give us what we need. Is that is that the offer that he's given?
Yeah. Though you will still be, if he's still here, you will still have upset nights. As far as you know. So who knows what tricks the demon has up its sleeve.
Yeah, because demons are tricky. That is a thing.
I'll also tell you, if you kill him, the house is still there.
The house?
In other words, the house he's been staying in and saying he's the innkeeper of does not stop being there just because you kill him.
So what's that mean?
So, it's sort of like, if you let me live, you can stay in my house.
But if we kill him, his house is still going to be there. But although he was also offering like goods, basically.
I mean, those goods are also physically exist as far as you can tell.
I think that I'm going to do something weird. I think I'm going to do something weird here. I'm looking at this demon that is at my mercy here.
He's completely at your mercy. And is promising a pact is promising you a pact if you don't kill him.
And I think I say I can't resist a new pleasure. So I think what I do is I'm wondering if I can bind this demon to something instead of banishing it.
You can bind it to the sword.
I could bind it to the sword.
At least for a time.
Actually, I have this silver necklace that I got from Switham, I believe.
Yes. that seems logical.
Just hang this random piece of jewelry that I have. I think that I pull it off and then I like dangle it from my hand and I'll be like, it's one or the other. You take this chain, you take these chains, it's like a chain silver necklace. You take these chains or you take banishment.
Then I'll be free of veil, won't I?
You'll be free of veil, but you won't be free of me.
But I do not think you appreciate how delicious you are. And the demon lets out a very theatrical scream and grabs your sword and sort of pulls himself onto your sword as his body begins to dissipate in front of the knights, but you feel the chain in your hand growing heavier.
Yeah, and I think it also like turns turns black instead of silver.
Oh yeah.
Like, what's it called? Like anodized metal? How it's like.
Oh
colored?
yeah. Nemes, you see this happen, and he lets Donnakan go, and collapses. Donnakan just sort of collapses to the ground as the tentacles you summon veer away. And the knights sort of pull up to sort of like a very haughty glance. Amma, Zahara, Doga start to like sort of pull Donnakan to them and try to inspect to see if he's hurt. Bay stands up and puts his hand on Mason's shoulder, and the young man is now free of any creeping shadows and starts to just kind of weep and shiver. Nemes, what do you do?
I think I'm probably wearing like a cloak or a cape or something, and I just kind of put it over this kid. Like, I'm like, stay. Sorry about that. Stay warm. Because he was just in rags, right? Pretty
He
much.
just sort of had like his own sort of cloak. He was wearing sort of like a toga. He didn't seem to have much on underneath it. Maybe some sort of thin tunic or something, but he's definitely barefoot on the cold sort of mountain winter. And he sort of like takes it and sort of he stops wailing and starts sort of like just kind of trembling and kind of giving a soft choking sob, but seems a little more in control. And the knights are sort of glaring around at everyone. What do the two of you do as these knights look at you with great hostility?
Can I go check on Zahara?
Yeah. Zahara is up and trying to sort of like, check Donnakan, who's awake but clearly badly injured. And Doga is as well. Amma sort of standing over there. Bay is standing behind Mason, trying not to look shaken, and kind of sort of pulling it off. What are the two of you doing? And you've moved over to Zahara, who's they're trying to like get Donnakan up and sort of walking back into the hut, though they're about to realize that the knights are also sort of standing in front of them.
I think that I'm probably like, instead of walking back to the hut, I'm like, no, let's go. And like,
Bay's like, where should we go? And the knights are just sort of, you brought us here to fight your demons for you, then you tried to kill us. And there they look straight at Nemes.
They look at Nemes?
You tried to kill us. You tried to bind us in place so the demon would take us while you escaped. Isn't that what you did? The Knight Commander says.
And then I jump in and I say, oh no, he bound you in place so that I could do my job because you were messing it up. And I like swing the sword and like put it over my shoulder. Because who banished the demon? I did.
Make a duplicity roll there.
That's a 9.
The Knight Commander looks between the two of you and snorts in disgust. We are leaving this town. We are here to kill the witch Svasta. Or to bind her, or whatever can be done for now. Do not interfere with our plans again. And they turn. And then when they said the witch Svasta, and they glared at the young man who was kind of huddled at Neme's feet, and was like, and all of her servants. And then they turn and just like, do not interfere with our plans again, and march off into the distance. She turns and looks at you, Mason, and she's like, if I see you in the vicinity of my camp again, I will assume you are there for hostile reasons and have you shot.
And I toss her amulet thing and say, try not to lose your stuff again, and smile at her.
She glares at you quite like froth-mouthed, angry, catches it, and just stalks off, looking petulant and furious. As her knights sort of fall into position behind her. And as she gets to the edge of the town, the other knights who are very nervous sort of fall into position behind them, the ones who just would not enter the town. Okay. And then as you come over towards Zahara, Amma and Zahara sort of like pull away from you, and Amma pulls out a short sword and sort of points it kind of loosely in your direction. Just like, why did you bring that spell on us? Why did you try to bind us? What did you do?
I was trying to bind them. I'm just really not great at magic. She turned it back, and I lost control of it. I'm very sorry.
She looks around. We have deeply injured, deeply wounded people here. Donegan cannot bear any more violence than is being done to his system, and you lose control of your magic. And then she gives Bay a very level stare and gestures to him, and is like, I think we should find our own space to camp tonight. And you should stay far away from us.
I'm sorry, I was only trying to...
Stay far away from us, please.
We will.
And Bay sort of walks over towards his group, sort of looking a little wide-eyed, like he's not sure what he's supposed to do, and sort of they move away. Just don't approach us if you see us. Doga is more forgiving than I am, but she is sick and wounded, and we need to get her healed. Until then, I'm in charge, and I say you stay away from us.
I think I called a Bay, and I'm like, wait, and I call him over. Wait, before you go.
How close do you get to it?
I think I actually like run towards him till he like turns towards me, at least.
Yeah, he turns around. He's not unwilling, but the others look agitated, especially Amma.
I think I pick up the black necklace.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, this was given to me, and now I'm giving it to you, and it's yours. Maybe it will protect you if you and your group needs it.
He takes it. He doesn't touch you as he takes it. You'll excuse me if I don't wear it.
Does he know what it is? Was he close enough to see?
Let's find out. You'll excuse me if I don't wear it. It looks daunting and feels heavy, but I will keep it by my side. And he sort of winks at you. He's like, at my belt, perhaps. And he sort of loops it around his belt.
And I say, maybe next time I see you, it will have brought you some good fortune.
I could use some good fortune.
Yeah, and I think that's, I just like nod and let him go on.
And he slips you like a small copper bracelet that has some inscriptions on it, but it's thin. I said copper, bronze bracelet. Slips it off his wrist, hands it to you. For good luck.
I'll clutch it tightly. Thank you.
That's when Amma calls out to him, and he sort of like runs after his group, as they seem to be looking for a place to sort of camp out. Where are you guys heading now? You've got a few hours left. You've got about an hour or so left until sunset.
Well, there was at the so this person that Nemes got with him that was a servant of Svasta.
Uh-huh.
I was a bit confused. Was that from the church ruins group?
No, he was
okay.
he was in some sort of house doing some sort of weird penitential ceremony.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, maybe we go back to the church ruins group.
The knights.
Yeah, the knights there, the non-religious secular knights.
You move back in that direction. Are you taking that young man with you there, Nimbus?
I think so. He doesn't really have anywhere else to go, so.
He sort of looks vaguely terrified. I don't think he's ever seen a demon before. At least not like that. And he's sort of trembling as he sort of follows. He's following a couple of paces behind you. And you're moving back. You're all moving back towards the church ruins. Give me 1 second.
Can we say that we went and picked up our bags from the?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
I think that that Mason even had dumped bags out in the hopes of getting them out the window.
Yeah. Is the inn different now that the demon's no longer there?
It's really just sort of a dingy little building. I mean, the stove is still there and still going. The windows are now sort of burst open since you pulled a lot of people through them. The door has been kicked open. You're not sure it would latch back properly, but it's still an intact, if dingy, building.
There's just nothing in it though. It's just like.
I mean, there's the beds. There's everything that was there is there.
Yeah, I think I just would take my stuff, you know.
Okay.
And this place is bad feels anyway.
You move back over towards the church. FYI, if you'll write this down, Ren, the young man's name is Armand. And as you approach the church, there's another knight commander, this one secular, wearing the colors of a noble house. Just sort of walks up to you and sort of kind of gives you the once over and it's like, you've seen trouble? Have you not?
You've probably heard the trouble.
Yes, we try.
Seen it.
We try not to talk to those. You know them, the church knights. They do not like people from Lamashto. She says, I am Commander Elena. How can I assist you? And she's looking at the two of you.
We need to get to Svasta.
Well, aren't you supposed to go to see Svasta at sunset with the rest of us? For the performance?
And I think like I turn and look at Ren, who's like a bloody mess. And I'm like, Yes, if we can survive until then.
Why don't you come and put your feet up? You can come with the rest of us to the woods. I don't think she's going to make us all hike up to her tower in the moonlight for this thing, but there seems to be a grove nearby that she will use for the performance, as she calls it.
And I think that as I kind of join them, I just like look over my shoulder towards where the direction that the others went. And I don't think I see them, so I just turn back and enter.
One second, let me just get a couple notes. And Nemes, Armand is sort of like close at your heels, like almost like a puppy. And you're all going into the camp of the knights from Lamashtu.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just trying to get in there and rest for a second.
They don't really give you a tent per se. They just sort of put you near the fire. And they seem largely to ignore you. They seem to be getting ready, almost like they're going out. They're putting on armor and putting on cloaks, getting their horses brushed. And Armand is sort of scampering around trying to find bits of food and some wine, specifically to bring Nemes. And both of you have sort of a time just to rest by the fire. What shadows are haunting you as you rest?
I think I'm just sort of replaying the fight we just had in my mind. Like, what if, so like the what if scenario if Mason didn't hop in and save. I think it's Donahue. Donikin. And sort of just seeing like him get I guess I'm imagining him just being like devoured by this demon. And then the dream kind of just stopped.
Sorry.
That's fine. the dream kind of just stops with the demon coming towards me. And like saying I'm going to taste like cinnamon.
But you weren't needy enough yet, or desperate enough yet. What about you, Mason?
Yeah, I think that I think that the shadows I dream of. Real or metaphysical? I think that I'm flashing back to when I got the sword and that blood just like came off of it, just like slicked off of it and fell to the ground. And I think I remember looking down at the puddle of blood under me now, holding the sword, and seeing my spiritual guardian in the reflection of the blood holding the sword.
Nice. So both of you can re-roll your hit points. And if it's higher, you may take that. You should also roll 1d6 and uncheck that many traits.
I got a 6 for my traits. I'm good to go again.
And as you two sort of come to the deep, creepy moments of your dreams, as you once again see your sort of your higher self, your spirit guardian, your guardian angel, whatever it is, standing there in the reflection on the blood, holding that sword. And as the demon turns to you and says, "You are delicious like cinnamon," you begin, and at first you think it's in your dreams. It takes you a moment to stir and come out of it. But you begin to hear the sounds of a viol playing in a fiddling style. And then you hear flutes, and you hear what sound like handheld bells. And you see the knights stand up and take their horses sort of by the bridle and sort of walk them towards the edge of town. You see various people in town start to walk forward. And you see your friends Amma and Bay and Doga and Donakan and Sahar walking with people from town towards the others out towards the wood. There's just a little bit of dusk light on the horizon, but it's going to be very, very dark once you get among the trees. And I think you wake up, Nemes, with Armand sort of like tugging very gently at your sleeve. And he just says, we should go. And I think we will leave it there. Except, Mason, I think you did see Bay on his way out of town turn to look at you. But it was so dark you really couldn't quite make out his eyes. So you couldn't tell if he was looking at you, how he was looking at you. You just saw him turn to look at you. And I think we'll leave it there.